After the Snow, the podcast. We are back. I'm your co-host, Dave Mays, and alongside with me, my main man, Freeway Rick Ross. What's up, Rick?
What up, Dave? What up, y'all?
Man, we gotta apologize to all of our listeners and viewers out there. We missed a show last week. It was my fault. So I really need to apologize. But things got a little bit crazy last week. We'll talk about some of the things, but we missed getting the show done. So we're going to pick back up, right where we left off. We're into season 2 and episode 7 is what we're going to be talking about. So we're into the stretch run on the second season of Snowfall. But, before we get into that, let's just catch up, man. It's been now a couple weeks.
Yeah, it was, man. As always, man, moving. Been around the country and back. I did 85 South while I was while I was gone, man. It was turn up. DC Young Fly and their crew, man, was just like crazy,
I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see. How long were you there? Like, was it like
we did like a 2-hour interview, man? Yeah. We kicked like 2 hours. They got a nice setup, I enjoyed it. Good environment, so I stepped out there a little bit.
Yeah, shout out to the 85 South show. Definitely one of the best and one of my favorite podcasts in the market.
Yeah. And then I also, my diesel started running last week, man. Did good. Had my first run to Arizona, great, man. After that, man, start popping tires in the trailer, man. Some dumb stuff, man. I go buy brand new tires for the trailer. I'm like, when I start off, I want to start off fresh, good start. I go buy brand new tires. The guy put the wrong tires on the trailer, man.
Oh man.
So
what happened? It couldn't move?
No, we're blowing tires like every 50 miles we blow a tire, man. And then, one time they charged me $1,500 to come out and change one tire because they had to drive for like 2 hours to get to you.
Oh, man.
So it was like, oh, my goodness, that truck's been killing me. But, that's what it is.
But you've been waiting a while to get those trucks on the road, right?
Yeah. I've been waiting, I figure it'd be some more passive income, So I'm gonna see it through though. I ain't gonna quit. Okay. I know that's part of the growing pains, but you would think that the guy at the tire place know to put the same tire back on the truck that on the trailer that came off. But so you got to pay attention. When you're doing business, you have to watch over the people who are taking care of you. You got to watch over their backs, otherwise, you'd be $12,000 in tires. All
right. No question. You gotta be on point. It's never like just that easy to just sit back and let things go. You really got to have your hand in things, especially something new. That you want to get working right. Over time, you can probably develop a system and get some trusted folks in place that can pretty much handle things, but. At the beginning, you got to be hands-on.
Yeah, definitely, man. Otherwise, it costs you a lot of money.
That's
but
right.
That's pretty much the exciting stuff that happened to me these past couple weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I know you've been home a lot, too, which was great, so you can spend more time with family.
Yeah. For 2 weeks, I've been home, but I leave today or tomorrow. I gotta go down to Jackson to the all-white party, so. I'll be heading down there today, either the first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend, man. It's freaking summer is over. It's crazy.
Yeah, this time flies by. Time don't wait for nobody, man.
No, we
better get your stuff together.
We into the stretch run.
You get left out.
We into the stretch run for the year now. You got a couple more months before we be at Thanksgiving, and that's it. Like as far as business, getting business done, things pretty much slow down once you hit
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
from Christmas, November really, huh? From
Yeah,
November all the way to, because then the Chinese holiday starts, so they kind of throw the ecosystem off a little bit. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to make my moves right now, though, man.
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons we missed the show last week because I was particularly on the grind last week. I ended up down in Houston for the Tycoon weekend that 50 Cent put on. Big weekend. It was really interesting, really, really successful. Um, I guess 50 has taken up residence in Houston these days. I guess he, maybe bought a house out there and he's been living out there quite a bit and then making an investment into the city. So this weekend, I guess the proceeds were going to his foundation, and the foundation was supporting a number of local charities in the Houston area. So, the mayor of Houston was out to support the weekend, and they really, rolled out the red carpet for everybody. Yeah, it was long, Thursday to Sunday, but
Wow,
yeah,
that's a long weekend.
yeah. They started off with a big comedy show and musical concert combined on Thursday night. All kind of stuff going on at the hotel on Friday, pool parties and different lingerie parties and different things. And they had the celebrity basketball game on Saturday. Got to see a few people that I didn't know had the skills that were doing their thing out there, and went to the brunch on Sunday. Ran into a lot of people. I was out there with Bill Bellamy. Bill was participating in the weekend. He performed on Thursday. He played in the basketball game on Saturday. Did his thing on both stages. So yeah, me and Bill were out there, networking and also recording some of his podcasts. We shot about 4 or 5 shows over the weekend and brought the production down so we could record and get some of the people that were in town. We just dropped the first one today, which was his conversation with Roy Jones Jr. So, got to hang out with my boy Roy. I hadn't seen Roy in, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Um,
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was good to see him because we had some good times together in the past. And, he always came out and supported the Source and things I was doing, the Source Awards. We gave him Athlete of the Year at one of our Source Awards shows. And I think he presented at some other Source Awards. Had him on Source Sports magazine cover. So, yeah, man, I got some history of Roy. It was good to see him. It was a great conversation between him and Bill. He's got a lot of insight into today's boxing world and some of the new things he's doing. But y'all go to any of the podcast platforms to listen to this week's episode. It's Top Billing with Bill Bellamy, or you can watch it on the Breakbeat Media YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yeah, so sound like y'all had it popping down there in Houston.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Some of the other people that came through was a couple other boxers. Terrence Bud Crawford from one of the welterweight champs right now. Got a big, probably the most highly anticipated fight in years with Errol Spence. They say is going to happen later this year. Bud Crawford was one of those guys that played in the basketball game that did his thing, man. He was killing them out there with the threes.
Was Bud killing them?
Yeah, yeah, he was doing his thing. They couldn't stop him. He might have been the MVP, might have been a high scorer on the game.
Wow. I didn't know he could play basketball too.
Yeah.
They say he a hell of an athlete though.
Yeah, and Shakur
I know
Stevenson.
Shakur was there too?
Shakur was there. We did an interview with Shakur. He was hanging out. Got a chance to get to know him a little bit, and Bill and him talked. But yeah, he's got a fight coming up in a couple of weeks. He just came right out of the gym training and rode up on Bill to sit down and do the podcast. Shout out to Shakur and Jay Prince and my man Tony from Prince Boxing that came through with Shakur.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
That's a big one there. Shakur got he's a world champ right now.
that's right.
Yeah, he's holding a couple belts right now. Big fights coming up.
Yeah, I figure you would appreciate all the boxers that I was kicking it with. And then last but not least, for sure, was our boy Floyd, man. My man Floyd Mayweather.
Money Mayweather?
Money Mayweather, 50-0. Probably, the greatest boxer of all time, if not one of the very few greatest. And
definitely one. Definitely one.
Hadn't seen him in at least 10, 15 years, man. It was great to catch up with Floyd. I spent about 2 hours hanging out with him while he was doing the autograph signing, just kicking it, talking hip hop, different stuff.
Yeah, you got him to talk, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, me and Floyd got some history too. We got to know each other early on. Same kind of thing when early part of his career, I showed him a lot of love in the Source and the magazine and the Source Awards and, that kind of stuff before he really blew up. So he remembers that, he told me that, man, you did a lot for me, Dave. Appreciate everything you did. So that was good to see. A lot of, you know how it is. A lot of times these guys, they won't say that, nor will they even remember that, let alone say it.
No, you're right. You're right. So to say that was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
It'd been nice if you'd have got him on camera.
Yeah, I got some pictures, but I didn't record any of that. But we're gonna stay in touch. So
yeah, well, that's good.
Try to do some things with Floyd for sure.
Yeah, he still got the hearts of the people.
Yeah.
People still love him. We was together down in Memphis.
That's right. Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, we was together in Memphis a couple weeks ago. So
okay,
they still love him.
Yeah. Before we get into the episode, there was one other subject I wanted to bring up because it's been in the news the last couple weeks, and that's this Mike Tyson TV series on Hulu. Mike's been very outspoken of his, anger about Hulu stealing his story.
As he should.
Yeah. Yeah, been very upset about that. And he's been very vocal about Hulu stealing his story and not paying him and making this series. So the series is out now. I haven't watched it. But doesn't seem like it's getting great reviews. But yeah, I wanted to just see if you've been following that, Rick. And, obviously there's similarities with your situation and Snowfall, what they did, taking your story. Now, it's a little different because they didn't call it the Rick Ross story. That's really the only main difference, But Hulu, it's actually, it is the Mike Tyson story. So they're not trying to make it seem like it's anybody else.
They're not hiding.
Yeah,
they're not hiding. They're going all the way with it.
Right.
Well, I think it's effed up, that they would do Mike like that, man. They know that he's a public figure. They know that his story has value. Why not count him in? Why not bring him in to allow him the opportunity to first to help them get the story correctly, because without him being there, you don't know if the story is accurate or not. More than likely, what they did is took newspaper articles, because the way they try to get around the story is what's in statute limit, what's in public domain. So anything that's said about your newspapers and court or stuff like that, they can use all that stuff inside of their story, and there's really nothing you could do about it. But it's no way that they shouldn't have counted Mike in, and allowed him to eat, off of his life journey, his work, his story, So
Yeah.
I feel his pain. I've been through it multiple times. So,
Why do you think a network like Hulu would not go out of their way to bring him in and compensate him?
well, I don't think that they would have did it had he been a white guy. I think it's a little bit of the racist thing in there. They never wanted us to own intellectual property in this country anyway. They never wanted blacks to own intellectual property. You didn't own your name. None of that. So they still have that little tendency where wherever they can get away with it, they just take advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, so I wanted to ask you about that, the term intellectual property and, being a public figure. And I mean, what do you think about the laws that allow folks to, create these depictions of people's lives and fictionalize them in ways that they decide, but also obviously, make it based on that person. I mean, do you think those are some laws that we need to revisit? Like, and or what do you think?
We probably do. For one, you know, with the freedom of speech, that as long as you depict somebody in a light that's close to what they're supposed to be, then you can do that story. What they can't do is they can't start fictionalizing it, and make it where they hurt his character.
It can't be defamatory,
No, it can't be defamatory. It
right?
has
That's
to
the only
be
line that they can't cross.
right, right. It has to be, close to what they did, or what they did. So
I mean, like I've always thought about this. I mean, like I can understand like a documentary, like where you're actually telling something that's supposed to be, documented, real things, real stuff, and the value in allowing journalists and the media to document things. But when you go to fictionalizing things and turning them into fictionalized movies or TV shows, that's the part that is a little bit bothersome,
yeah, it gets sticky there because then the people who are watching it, they can't tell if it's true or not true. But what they're doing now is they take them and they mix some real in with some fake, and and you got to figure it out. But
Yeah. Well, shout out to the champ, man. Mike's another one of my guys, man, who I've been fucking with for a long, long time. I love Mike and won't be watching the Hulu series in support of the champ. So we feel you over here, champ, man, and we got your back.
no doubt, no doubt, I second that emotion.
Yeah. So let's get into it this week. We're talking about Snowfall Season 2, Episode 7. They call it The World Is Yours. That's the title of this week's episode. And a lot of stuff going on this week. A few interesting things. I definitely want to run by you, Rick, that I made note of while I was watching. The first thing at the beginning of the episode is the guys are at the movie theater watching Scarface. So it's Franklin, Kev, and Leon watching Scarface. And I thought that was interesting. Wanted to see, what you thought. When do you remember seeing Scarface for the first time? And did you go see it multiple times?
Yeah, I saw it too many times. And that was when we had our VCR. That was one of the only tapes we had. We had about three tapes: Superfly, The Road Warrior, and Scarface. So I saw it too many times, but it definitely reminded me of when me and all the fellas went to the movie theaters. We were a little deeper than three, though. We might have been more like 15 deep. So, but yeah, I can remember the old Hollywood theater. You pay $1 to get in, and we was there.
What do you remember about that movie back then? I mean, was it something? Did it inspire you in any
Well,
way?
yeah,
Or
it definitely inspired me to go higher. When you look at a guy come from over from Cuba and with nothing but sandals on his feet, and he literally takes over the world, you figure that more confirmation, that I was in the right business. The cocaine was the right way to be going.
hmm So after they leave the theater, Franklin drives them out to the beach, and basically Leon and Kev have never even been to the beach in LA. Um, and he's like, just want to take you guys out here because we're building something huge together, and I'm going to put you guys in charge, and just kind of giving them a pep talk about his vision, and they're having fun out there. Kev, of course, is you could tell he's thinking about his situation that develops in this episode where we saw last episode. Of course, he got approached by Oso and Lucia to see if they can convince him to sell out Franklin and give him the recipe and everything. So Kev's like listening, but you could tell that's on his mind. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do.
Yeah, cold situation. To
Yeah.
know that you got to, I know he want to take care of his revenge on his little homie, but then he got to cross his boy. I think he say that too in the episode about crossing your friend ain't your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy.
What do you think of what do you think of that situation? Like, could you see a scenario where you would do something like that? Or
No, not me, because I play at a different level. I play where I make the calls pretty much. When I get in the game, I'm running the play. I don't allow other people to run plays for me. I try to run the play for myself. So I usually try to dictate the position that we in.
yeah, well, as the episode goes on, we're going to see what Kev decides to do. So that's one of the main things that develops in this episode. Now, Franklin gets together with Teddy, who's kind of telling him that telling him that he's got to go fix some things or whatever. Teddy's trying to hold off Franklin. He's trying to hold off Avi. He's trying to hold off everyone while he gets through this problem of discovering that he's being investigated. But when he's talking with Franklin goes into a whole speech about how big this is going to be, and this is going to be like McDonald's, and I didn't create this thing, but I'm going to be the one that takes it all over the country, to DC, to Chicago, to Houston, St. Louis, New York, boom, boom, boom. And we're going to be doing 50 to 100 kilos a week. And he even says, I've been thinking about this my whole life. So as I'm watching that, I'm like, damn, I wonder how Rick's feeling watching that, because they're putting a lot on you in that little scene right there.
Yeah. That's crazy that they would go there with him on that one there. But they trying to sensationalize it the best they can to keep the viewers tuned in. But a lot of that is touching. Well, we already knew that the beginning of these seasons was the main ones that touched on my story. I imagine those are the ones that John probably had his hand directly into. But as it goes on, we'll see.
I mean, was that ever like an analogy in your head, McDonald's, to what you were doing?
Well, LA Times said I sold crack like McDonald's. It's so much stuff out there, that's been wrote and said about me that, it's almost hard to miss it. It's almost hard to tell a drug story and not my story come up. It's hard. I was watching a little clip the other night on the internet, and they was talking about drugs. I was like, shh, I bet my name gonna come up, just like I thought it popped up. So, uh, I've become anonymous with when you're talking about drugs. So if you're talking about drugs, more than likely I'm gonna pop up. So um, I could see a lot of my story in this series here, definitely. With the going to Scarface, going to watch Scarface. I talked about that in my book. How me and all the fellas went to watch Scarface for the first time. So,
All right, yeah, this felt like an episode that would, that you might react to a little differently just because of some of the storylines. So, okay, another one I want to talk about is Claudia and Louie. That becomes a whole situation as the episode goes on. So we know, Louie had left Jerome and has been hanging with Claudia. She puts on this big kind of, I don't know what you would call it, some type of show, a review at the club. She has all these, people I think that came in from out of town and puts on this big show.
was
And
big.
yeah,
Was big.
Now I got to digress for a second because the host who's on stage, the MC for the night for her show, is my guy, the actor Nico Anand, who plays Uncle Clifford on P Valley. And I didn't realize that he had mentioned we just did an interview with Uncle Clifford with Nico on Bill Bellamy's show. That's the one that came out last week, and on the show, he mentioned that he had appeared in Snowfall, and I had forgotten about that. But P Valley is an amazing show. I don't know. Have you watched P Valley, Rick?
I haven't. I heard of it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. So I know I was talking about some other shows recently, but in the last few weeks, me and Brett got really into P Valley. The second season just ended, so we're not quite done with the second season, but we watched the whole first season and most of the second season. We got to wrap it up this weekend, but it's on Stars and it's very well done. I mean, the characters and the storylines is very interesting, a little controversial in some ways, but had to shout out my guy Nico, great guy. He did an amazing interview with Bill. They had an awesome time. So I would definitely suggest you guys go track that one down. Top Billing with Bill Bellamy with Nico Anand last week, aka Uncle Clifford. So so Uncle Clifford's there hosting the party for Louie, and eventually Louie and Claudia are having some problems. Claudia kind of like disses
Like she a little jealous. She act like she a little jealous of Louie.
Yeah,
She accused Louie of trying to take the club from him.
she did.
And
Yeah,
then
so
Louis said to some, if I wanted to take the club, I could have did it.
right.
So they start that little back and forth a little bit there. So
Yeah, so and then of course they start beefing back in the back, and Louis ends up getting the better of Claudia, cracks her in the head with the bottle, and then looked like she pushed her down and she hit her head on the countertop, banged her head. So you don't know really what happened. At first, I'm thinking she might have died, but then later on, I think they say something about how Franklin is talking to Jerome and saying, "Man, we got to figure out how we're gonna handle this because Claudia is a really bad enemy to have for a bunch of reasons." So I guess she's in the hospital. We don't know whether she's died or not. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. But um, that was pretty
Claudia
cool.
they went hard on Louis too, put all her business out there in the street. About her being a prostitute. I didn't know she was a prostitute.
Right. We learned that. Yeah, she was embarrassing her in front of some other people there at the event. Yeah, said she used to be that. So
I think she said she used to be on Figueroa or something like that. Did
Yeah, is that one of the old Hostro strips there,
yeah,
Figueroa?
old and new. As an old and new.
Okay, still going. Wow.
Well, out here now they don't arrest prostitutes no more.
Okay.
Yeah, they stop arresting them, so now they can hold and not worry about going to jail.
Wow. I didn't realize that. So
Yes.
it must be pretty wild out there wherever that's going on in those parts. So still around Figueroa.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, all over
Um,
California, technically all over California. Well, Vegas was already legal, so
right.
I guess California just adopted. Why fill a jail up with women selling their bodies?
So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. If that pushes Louie back to Jerome, and they get back together, and how they're going to deal with Claudia. But it was great seeing Uncle Clifford. That was a part that stuck out of my mind, just because I come to love that show and his character and him from his interview. So, let's talk about a couple other parts of the show. Um, so Oso and Lucia, they are under the gun because the big Mexican boss lady is on their ass. Gave them 2 days, to come up with the recipe to save them. After what happened with the shootout and the killing of some of her guys, Stomper and the other guys. So they're like, they're desperately trying to get out of this situation. They also know that Soledad is some kind of agent, some kind of police, and they figured that out. And Lucia is still having a hard time accepting that Pedro is probably a rat as well. She's still kind of debating that with Oso in the earlier part of the episode. So even though Pedro sold her out, to his dad earlier in the season and showed her, he can't be trusted. I guess she still has some feelings for him as her first cousin, and doesn't want to really get over
You don't
that.
want to whack him.
That's right. But in the end, we see she does just that. She takes him out and shoots him down. Time to go, Pedro.
Well, you would think that it would have been easy. I mean, she had her whole family killed, and that other thing, she set that up, really, technically. So I don't see why one more, especially one who's put the police on you, would have been that difficult for her. Seemed like it would have been a lot easier for her to kill Pedro than to kill her uncle.
Yeah, she was struggling with it, but she got the confession out of him. He admitted everything. Um, but yeah, I guess I don't know. Have we seen her kill anybody herself yet in this series, or is this the first time
No,
she's
I
actually?
don't think so either.
Yeah, so we see that she makes the calls, but she'll also handle the business if she has to. He said something to her about how she, you know, uh, is this terrible person, but he could understand because she saw her sister get murdered in front of her. So that's kind of like what some more information we're learning about her background. Um, just like we learned some stuff about Auntie Louie in this episode.
Yeah, it seems like the further we go, the more we learn the characters and which way the characters are going. I'm wondering if the writers already knew how they want the characters to turn out before when they first started writing the character in.
Yeah, I'm not sure like what the process is for a writer like that. If they're figuring it out as they go along, I'm sure they have obviously a good idea at the beginning, but I don't know. Never written a
And I guess
TV
you got so many
series.
characters done turn out so many different ways in life that however you do it, you can't miss.
Right. All right. Um, let's see what else happened in the episode. Wanda is using crack, so they're having a party, and she's out there, smoking in front of Franklin. He's not pleased with that. So we see the beginnings of having to deal with people in your crew using using the drugs, stealing from him. She basically admits to just taking the drugs and using it without any permission. Of course,
Yeah.
that's Leon's girl, so he's trying to protect her, but Franklin is not having it, and lets him know, you know, he don't want her around no more after seeing what she's doing.
And rightfully so. When somebody's on dope, they'll do anything. So you definitely got to protect yourself from whatever they might bring to you. So I think he's absolutely correct by not allowing her to come around.
Teddy, before we get done with one or two more things, I want to mention Teddy. Like we said before, he's dealing with this fact that they're being investigated. He's trying to figure out. Well, he figured out who it was because he made the phone call. He makes the phone call to the guy from the DEA, and he makes this kind of anonymous call and says, I know that you've got a undercover, on the Villanueva case, and basically saying that the undercover is going to could get killed, and that it's known that there's an undercover, and you guys should kind of pull out. And he doesn't say who he is, but he gives enough information that he convinces the guy from the DEA that this is a dangerous situation. They better pull her out. Um, but she fights and gets one last 48 hours to try to solve and bring Teddy and his brother in. That's what she wants to do. She wants to get them arrested. So he gives her 48 more hours. And that's the time where Teddy's like scrambling because he can't go to his office. It's still under surveillance. I guess that's where the money is that he needed to pay everybody. So he's got Avi on his ass. He's got the Colombians who pop up at the end. They thinking they're going to go. Him and his brother Matt are going to go to D.C. That's Teddy's plan. I'm going to go to D.C. I guess he's going to go try to get in touch with his old CIA boss and see if he can get some help on this from him. But the Colombians are there waiting at the plane, and they basically kidnap his brother Matt and say, "All right, go to D.C., do what you got to do, but your brother's gonna stay here with us." So Teddy's got a lot of drama going on right now.
Then got heavy for Teddy.
Yeah,
Teddy got a
yeah,
heavy load right now. He got to figure this thing out. Yeah, that is a tough one to have the DA breathing down your back, and then your suppliers, and everybody wondering why you're not working. Come on, man, let's make something happen. We need this money. So they putting a lot of pressure on Teddy right now.
yeah. So it ends with him, I guess, making his way to DC and his brother being held. So we're gonna see next week probably, what happens, because he thinks at the time that his plan to scare the DEA off didn't work because they were still surveilling his office. So he's got to figure out another route. Um, and I think probably two more things. One is just talking about Franklin's mom and dad. They're shown in this episode a couple of times, and the dad is getting cleaner by the week here, looking cleaner and better and healthier.
And he
He's
gave her
got
his check too.
right, He's got a check. He finally get
So
qualified.
that shows that he has a heart when he's not on that dope.
Right.
When he's
She
not
was
strung
really,
out on the dope, he can have a heart.
yeah, Sissy was really moved by that. That really was a big deal for her because they're about to lose the house, the mortgage is behind, and she's trying to figure out what she could do. And Alton comes to the table with the check, um, and they ended up, having a great time together. They're dancing and making out and stuff, and they're rekindling, I guess, their old romance that's happening. But in the end, she comes back home and she's pissed. She was at the bank trying to pay the mortgage, and she finds out not only did what they were behind get paid, but the whole mortgage has been paid off by a fake name that Franklin used, and she's not happy about that.
Nah, she's totally pissed. Said that she wanted to own her own house.
She wanted to, pay for it herself. And
Yeah. So,
but Alton, the dad, is like, hey, look, at least he's doing it smart. He's giving Franklin some rope there with his mom. Like, hey, he's put it under a fake name, so at least he's being smart what he's doing. And what else did he say? Something else to her about him that she didn't really like, but basically giving Franklin a little bit of credit and a little bit of room there, to hopefully clear things back up with his mom. But so that's that's an interesting development. We're going to see how that plays out. Having the dad really back in the picture now. And I guess to just end it off, it's back to Kev. So, of course, Kev makes this decision to go see Lucia and Oso. And, he agrees to tell him the recipe. And they take him around the way and point out the guy that killed his cousin, let him know how I'll be able to find him there and handle his business. And he brings him back to the kitchen and shows him how to make the rock. So he's done it. He's done sold out Franklin, Leon, and the guys officially.
So now Franklin and I'm gonna have competition coming from a whole different angle. They're not gonna even know where it came from.
That's right. So yeah, man, it was a lot of stuff in this week's episode. Pretty good one. And setting us up for the final 3 episodes of the season. So we'll be back, next week to talk about episode 8 and everything else going on. Appreciate everybody for tuning in and hanging out with Freeway and myself for the After the Snow podcast.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, as you guys know, this is part of Breakbeat Media, the new podcast network dedicated to the global hip hop community and really authenticity in our content. And, hope you guys are enjoying not only After the Snow, but, many of the other programs that Breakbeat is offering right now. So follow us on the Breakbeat Media YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram at Breakbeat Media, on Twitter at Breakbeat Media. Follow me at The Real Dave Mays and at Freeway Ricky.
Freeway Ricky.
Yeah, on Instagram for Rick. And look us up on all the podcast apps. Subscribe to the Breakbeat podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So back next week. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Peace.